Today, I will teach you how to do the Bowser's Castle turn skip shortcut. This is the most important shortcut in Mario Kart World, so I will show you exactly how to do it with my controller inputs on screen, and I will explain how to fix common mistakes you might run into. You can take this shortcut without an item, and it saves over 2 seconds compared to the normal path. And there are many ways to do this shortcut, so I will also show you when you should go for each version. So let's get started. If you plan to learn one method of taking the shortcut, then this is the one that you should learn. There's a lot you have to get right, so it is difficult at first, but with practice, this is 100% consistent and not that hard. So I'll explain what you have to do and then go over some common mistakes you might make. When you land from the trick ramp, hold R to charge a charge jump and then aim for just left of this big line on the wall where the wall curves. As soon as you pass this line, trick off the wall and you will land on the rail. Continue to ride the rail until you get to this part at the corner. Now jump off to the right. Shortly after you pass this dark line on the wall, trick off to the left. Right before you hit this wall, start holding right on the stick. And just before you hit the blue sign, hold left on the stick. Once you're launched into the air, hit left trick as much as you need to land on the path below. And that is the easiest, most consistent way to do this shortcut. I know it looks like a lot, and you are not going to get this on your first try. What I recommend is getting each step consistent before moving on to the next step. It takes a lot of practice, but eventually you'll be able to do this every time. Now let's look at how to fix common mistakes. When you jump from the wall to the rail, you might jump too far and detach from the rail. The reason this happens is because you stayed on the wall for too long and built up too much speed from the trick boost, and this sends you flying away. What you should do is spend a very short time on the wall before tricking off, this way you don't have too much speed and you will land on the rail. Now the next part seems easy, you just trick to the right at the corner of the rail. But depending on factors such as the input delay from your screen, or just the coordination of your fingers, you may be doing this too early or too late without knowing. So here's what that looks like. If you trick too early off the corner of the rail, then you will charge an orange mini turbo on the wall and go way too fast for the rest of the shortcut and it will not work. If you trick too late at the corner, then you will go low on the wall or miss the wall. If at the end of the shortcut you get stuck on this wall, then what that means is you didn't press left and right at the correct times at the end and you just held left the whole time. Now if it looks like everything went perfectly but you just somehow didn't get enough distance and you fall into the lava, this is most likely because of when you are holding right and left. You're not supposed to hold right when you touch the wall and then hold left when you touch the sign. This will not give you enough distance. What you should do is hold right before you touch the wall and hold left before you touch the sign. If it's not working, then try holding these directions even earlier, and this will help you gain enough distance to clear the shortcut. Now, whenever you can, you should go for this version of the shortcut, as it is 100% consistent and it is very fast. The only problem with this is because you spend some time on the rail, it can be very unsafe. If there are attack items near you, you are very likely going to get hit by them. And if there are other players near you, you are very likely to get bumped off of the rail. And this is nearly unavoidable on lap 1 because everyone is so close together. Now you can mitigate this on lap 1 by slowing down at the start to guarantee that you have space. You can grab triple mushrooms guaranteed at the first item set, and you'll have enough space to take this shortcut safely. This should put you in at least a middle spot, and you can then use those mushrooms to get all the way back up to the front. By this point, you may be pretty safe with a lot of space and you can take the shortcut on lap 2. However, there are always going to be times when it is just not safe to take this shortcut, and that is when it is important to know other methods of taking this shortcut. The second method of taking the turn skip shortcut that you should learn is the charge jump method. This is actually faster than the rail method by about 0.3 seconds. It can also be safer because you don't have to go onto the rail, but even if you go on the rail and get knocked off, you can still take the charge jump version as a backup. So that is why it is important to learn this method. The only downside is that it is not 100% consistent. While it may look a lot easier as there's only pretty much one thing you have to get right, that one thing is very hard to get right. As you come down from the trick ramp, charge a blue mini turbo, and then if you're good at soft drifting here, get an orange mini turbo, but it is easier to just get a blue mini turbo here. Then I aim for this rivet or dot on the wall that is just to the right of the dots that are lined up with the big wall. Once you get close to it, you should switch to holding left so that you're almost right up against this wall and you're between these two rivets, but you're closer to the one on the left. Hold left as you release R to get the chart jump, and you should barely touch the wall on the left. Once you're in the air, do a left trick and this will land you back on the track. When you first learn this, it can be very hard to align the charge jump after the drift, and it's very likely that you run into the wall on the right. What you should do is align a little bit more left than you expect, but also you don't have to charge the charge jump as soon as you get the mini turbo. You can drive forward a bit to get your alignment and then start charging. When you do the chart jump, it might look like everything went right, but you just somehow didn't get enough distance. If this happens, it's because you didn't actually touch the wall on the left. The chart jump itself cannot take you far enough. You have to get a little wall detached by touching the left wall. That's how you get the distance to clear this gap. But you could have the opposite problem, because if you touch the wall too much, then this will actually send you to the right and you again don't make the shortcut. And that is what is so difficult about this shortcut. There is only one thing you have to get right, but it is very precise. And lastly, if it looks like you did everything correctly and you even clipped a bit of the wall, but you just didn't get enough distance, then what probably happened is you charge jumped too early. Don't charge jump early thinking you're trying to jump over the ledge. What you should do is just get unreasonably close to the front here before doing the charge jump. Now, with all that being said, I only make this shortcut about 70 to 80% of the time, so I only go for the charge jump method if there is some reason why I cannot take the rail. Even though it is common that you're going to fail the charge jump version of the shortcut, keep in mind that as long as you fall into the lava around here, then you will respawn at a very good spot. And this is only about 0.3 seconds slower than going around. So as long as you're pretty good at the charge jump version of the shortcut, it is very worth going for as a backup. And yes, going into the lava makes you lose your items, but the next items are coming up right away. This next method of taking the shortcut is a very good one to know. You get to take a completely different path from the two main methods of the shortcut. And this method is 100% consistent. So all things considered, this is the safest version of the shortcut. The only downside is that it is 0.7 seconds slower than the rail method. But of course, it is still much faster than not taking the shortcut at all. To do this method of the shortcut, aim for the rail on the right, ride it to the top, and once you land, just drift around the corner. The next part is where it starts to get tricky. Just before you reach the yellow portion of the ground, about one vehicle length before that, start holding B. So you should be holding A and B at the same time now. Then as you ride the rail, watch the gray triangle that's underneath you. As soon as you pass the gray triangle, now trick to the right. And as soon as you land on this rail, trick to the left and keep doing tricks to the left in order to land on the rail below. Now, one thing I didn't mention there is you should stop holding B at some point. But when is that? Well, you won't have the exact same amount of speed every single time, so you have to visually react to how far you're going. And it takes experience to know when you should stop holding B in order to make it onto the rail. But once you do land on the rail, as soon as you touch the first blue part, you can do an extra left trick, which is optional, and then you can left trick off of the end. Now, learning how to do this shortcut is actually quite difficult. It's a lot to think of at once. You are not going to get this on your first try, but once you practice it, it is 100% consistent. A lot of the difficulty in this shortcut is the timing of when to start holding B and when to release B. This is what it looks like if you end up going too fast. You will not be able to land on the rail at the bottom. And this is what it looks like if you hold B too much. And because this is very sensitive to your initial speed and when you started pressing B, you have to react to your speed and release B accordingly. Now there is one more way that you can fail this, and it looks like this. This clearly was not a speed issue. The left trick just didn't even send you very far to the left. If you find this happening to you, the reason is because you tricked too early on the first rail. You should not time the trick for the end of the gray triangle because that's what causes this to happen. Instead, you should trick after you pass the gray triangle, then this will not happen. At this moment, a lot of people don't know about this version of the shortcut, so right now it's pretty much perfectly safe. Even once people learn about this, the other methods are faster, so you shouldn't see people going for this too much. However, if for some reason there are other racers near you while doing this and you don't feel safe, you can actually just take the left side at the start. And the only difference is you're approaching it from the other side, but once you reach the first rail, all the inputs are exactly the same. And taking the left side is only 0.1 seconds slower than taking the right side. So this is definitely a good backup strategy for staying even safer. Now there are more methods you can use to take this shortcut, but I don't recommend using them in real races. As of the time of making this video, this is the method used in the world record. This is about 0.5 seconds faster than the rail method and about 0.2 seconds faster than the charge jump method. While it is very fast, it is less consistent, and you have to set up for it early enough that if you get hit off the rail, you cannot even use this one as a backup. The benefit is that you save a very little bit of time, but the risk is that you could fail it, and a lot of the common ways to fail this version will not even give you the good respawn. So even if you're relatively consistent with this method, I don't see a situation where it's worth going for this in regular races. And finally, there is this version, which is extremely fast, but extremely difficult, and when I do it, it just feels like luck whether I get it or not. Definitely do not go for this in a regular race. So let's review what we've learned in this video. The Bowser's Castle turn skip shortcut is absolutely crucial if you want to win on this track. By doing this successfully, you can build massive breakaways, and the main method that you want to use is by taking the rail. This method is very fast, and with practice, it is 100% consistent. However, because of the rail, it is not always safe. If you get hit or bumped off of the rail, as a backup, you can go for the charge jump version of the shortcut. Even if you fail this, the respawn puts you in a very good spot. And if you don't think the rail is safe to take, you can opt to just go for the charge jump shortcut as it is slightly faster than the rail method. But this method is not perfectly consistent. By far the safest method for taking this shortcut is by taking the rail on the right or the rail on the left to get up to the top path, and nailing the shortcuts can be very difficult at first, but ultimately it is also 100% consistent. But the downside is that this is much slower than the other two methods of taking the shortcut. And of course, if you have a feather, you can always just feather over the shortcut. This is the first time I've made a video like this, so let me know in the comments what was good, what could be improved, and what shortcuts would you like to learn in the future.